Good day, everyone. In today's video, we'll be looking at props and components. And from where we left off in the previous video, we'll be adding some validation to our sign up form here. And if we go back to our UI in XD, we'll be building out this component, this success and error component, and we'll be using this in our sign in form and our sign up form. If you're not familiar with the components yet, they're basically parts of our application that we get to write once, and we use them by simply importing them wherever we need to. So for example, if we need to import this success message component anywhere else in our application, we won't need to write it out again. We can just write this once and we'll be importing it wherever we need to. Same with the error message. And when it comes to props, props is basically, it's a term used in React and React Native that refers to passing data from one screen to the other or from one component to the other. So for example, let's say in our sign up form, when a user has successfully signed up, we'd like to pass a specific message to this component here, and the message will obviously be different in the sign in form versus sign up form. So we'll use props to pass that specific message to our component here. So to get started, let's head over to VS Code. And in the previous video, we added this create user function when the user clicks on this sign up button there. So to firstly, I think we'll need to add validation to our form, and that would mean creating a new validation function. So let's go ahead and do that. And then instead of calling create user on the onPress method here, would be calling validate form. So let's go ahead and replace that. So if everything is perfect and the form is validated, then we get to call create user. So let's firstly check if all our states are filled in. So we'll just create an array with all our variables there, or form inputs, password, and okay. So basically what we're going to do, we'll check if this array consists of any empty strings or if it has any undefined values. So that would mean our full name and email should not be empty, and also our mobile password and confirm password should actually be filled in. So let's see if everything is correct. So it's full name, email, mobile, password, and confirm password. And also we'll have to check if our passwords actually match. Okay, so let's go ahead and check if our inputs are filled in. So we'll be checking if our form inputs array has any empty strings or it has any undefined values. Okay, and if that's the case, we just return and do nothing. So what's going to happen if there's any of these issues are actually true, we'll pass our error message using this component here that we'll be building out soon. So that's what's going to happen. Let's just go back to VS Code. And then if everything is fine, if everything is filled in basically, then we'll have to check if our passwords actually match. And then here, that's when we'll call create user. Okay, so let's go ahead and see. But firstly, let's console log here so that we get to see what errors we have. And I'll console log from inputs. Okay, so now let's just return. Okay, so what should happen if our form is empty, so meaning if the strings are not entered in or our strings are empty, and if we have any undefined values and empty strings, then it should just return a console log of all the form inputs. So let's see what should happen there. So if I just click sign up, okay, we're getting an error. What's it saying? Console log is not a function. Okay, just say console.log. Okay, so as you can see, we have in some empty strings, which is our full name, and what's the other one? Full name and email, and then our passwords and mobile numbers are undefined. So even if we type in our full name here, let's say, then we still have a few errors. Our email is not typed in, and we still have undefined values. And then let's see, let's add our email. Okay, still missing a few values, which is the mobile number. Let's just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, and we're just missing our password. So you kind of get the idea. Say return. So we need to add a validation. So obviously, if our passwords do not match, we're supposed to return a message saying, hey, please type in the correct passwords. So let's maybe add that as well. If passwords do not match, and in this case, if our passwords do not match, then we'll display this screen here and pass the necessary message. Okay, so let's fill in everything but with different passwords. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as you can see, our passwords do not match. And if everything does match, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then we should have a new user created in our Firebase console. I cannot find variable create user. No, okay, spelling. Okay, let's try that again. Then sign up. And I think it should have created our new user. So there's that user from last time, and there's Joey Test. Okay, so that should be it with our form validation. Now let's go ahead and create our components. So pretty much same as creating our screens, we'll just create a new folder, call it components. and then we'll need two files. So one will be for the form success, and the other will be for the form error. Okay, so let's import the necessary modules. So import React from React, and we'll need our text and view for now. React native. And then let's write out our function form success. Okay, and then we'll just display basic text for now. Okay. Okay, and then we'll export that function form success. Okay, then let's just copy this and paste it into our form error as well, and then just change the success to error. Cool. So now what should happen is when we have any errors here, so if our form is empty, we need to display the form error. Same when our form passwords do not match, we display the form error. So to display this specific file here as a pop-up within our application, we'll need to install a package called React Native Elements. So just search for that and head over to reactnativeelements.com. Then just get started, and let's go ahead and install that. Okay, and while that is installing, I'll head over to the menu here on the left and search for overlay. So this is what we'll need. So this will basically give us this overlay view here. So we'll so we'll have this, and then within this overlay, that's where we'll have our form error file, or the contents of our form error and our form success files. So let's go all the way to the bottom and import those. So while that's still, okay, it's actually done. So let's copy this line here. And for now, we'll just need the overlay. Okay. And then, as you can see, this is how we use it here. So let's copy that, and we'll just put it within our view, our main view, that is. And then is visible has to be a Boolean variable. So we'll say true on backdrop press. So basically when the on backdrop press, so when the user just clicks anywhere outside the view of our overlay, then we should hide the overlay. We'll get to that in a sec. Let me just remove that for now. So this should just have our overlay displayed with the text saying hello from overlay. So if we head over to sign up, as you can see, we have our overlay there. So firstly, perhaps let's I guess maybe we should have this overlay in our form error and form success instead. So let's move all that to here. Okay. So let's do that, and then we move that to there. So what we should do instead, let's just import form error and form success. From components. Okay. Okay, so let's have form error there instead. Or maybe let's do this display form error set display form error, and then we'll have a default value here of false. So use state it will be false. So in our main view, if we just go here, so what we'll do here, we'll just say if form error equals to true, then we display the form error file which we imported there. So we'll display that. It'll be a component. If not, we'll return nothing. Okay, so let's say now here where our passwords do not match and where our texts are indefined, instead of returning console logs, let's just return or change the state from false to true. So if passwords do not match, then we set display form error to true. So what should happen is, let's just add this here as well. Okay, so what should happen, our form error or display form error state is false, but whenever it changes, when it's set to true, it should display the form error file or component which we have here, and that is an overlay that says hello from overlay. So by default we should have nothing, but if I click on it, so if we just go back to our code, if I click on our button, it should validate the form, and then in this case my form is empty, then it should set the display form error to true, which as a result will display the form error overlay. So if I go ahead, as you can see, it says hello from overlay. So let's go ahead and style the overlay to this component here. So we'll need a width of 340 or 350 maybe. Let's just create our styling. Okay, so we'll also need style sheet. Okay, and let's just call it overlay width. Now let's make it a percentage rather. Let's say maybe 80%. Height 320. Okay, let's see how that looks. Oh, and the on backdrop. Okay. So to do this, I guess we can just get started with our props. So going on to props, so as you can see, we are not able to close our overlay in this case, and what should happen is when we click our backdrop, we need to be able to change the display form error state and change that to false, which should hide our form error. So if we just go back to the React Native Elements documentation, you see there's this function here called on backdrop press. So we'll need that in our form error.js file, and we should have it right there. So what should happen is when someone clicks the on backdrop press, we need to be able to change the display form error state to false so that it hides our form error. So to do that, we'll need to pass along this function here to our form error .js file, or component rather. So let's pass that as a prop called hide form or hide error overlay. Okay, and then in that we'll just pass our set display form error method. So now when we go to our form error.js file, we'll add a parameter here called props, And then to hide our backdrop, we'll just say, or we'll add a method here, say just a function, and then we'll call props dot, and then it's hide overlay, and then we'll set the value to false. So now if we go back to our application, if we go ahead and click on the sign up button with an empty form, then it should set display form error to true, which in turn should display the form error component. So let's go ahead and do that. So if we click sign up, as you can see, it says hello form error. And then from our form error file, if we click on the backdrop, then it should hide the overlay. So if now I click that, as you can see, it hides the overlay. Oh, we didn't apply the styling to our overlay. Can we add styling here? Let's say style equals styles dot overlay. Okay, let's just go back to the documentation. So I guess we'll just need to wrap the overlay in a view. Okay, let's do that. Or wrap a view inside, or add a view inside our overlay rather. Okay, so let's move the styling to this view. Let's see how that goes. Okay, there we go. And it's 80%. Let's maybe make it 90. Okay, that's not working either. Let's just go to the documentation, I guess. Overlay star. Okay, so instead we'll need this parameter there, and we can just move everything else, and we can get rid of the view. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I think I'll stop here for now, and I think this should give you an idea of how to use props and components in React Native. And the process is pretty much the same in React as well if you're building for web. So in this case, if we wanted to pass specific messages for our form error, we just have another property here, call it form error message, and we would have a state as well. So if our form was completely empty, we'd also set a new state, maybe say form error message saying, hey, please fill in the form. And then if passwords did not match, we'd do the same and pass a specific message. I guess we'll do that in the next video. But for now, I think this should give you a clear idea of how to use states. The next video will be mainly focused around the styling and adding the button and so on.